Think about a therapist. Sits down with an individual and through conversations get to the deepest inner feelings of what's holding this person back and helping them to solve the problem themselves. Like, think if a salesperson was behaving that way, what would the conversation and outcome be like? That's exactly what we're exploring today. And the theory is that you need to become a therapist. Here's why. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, I have two amazing guests, Jack and Zach. Don't get them mixed up. We have their details on LinkedIn down in the show notes. But here's what I got a conversation to. Jack and Zach run an agency, and they help their clients when it comes to booking appointments. One of the things that they've learned over the years is in their interaction with their clients and with the systems that they have is like, man, if salespeople can be like therapists, their game could be different. They could be so much more effective. And I believe it was Zach's wife who's a therapist, and he saw some of the methods that she was using, and it just kind of made sense. Now, they've worked with hundreds of clients over the years, and they know a thing or two about booking meetings. You can get some of their details down in the show notes. But their book, Selling Like a Therapist, like the book is all around how salespeople need to sell like therapists. It's one that I recommend, and you can find a link down below. But as we go into this episode today, we wanted to figure out, what do they mean? How can I sell more like a therapist? And we broke down several points. But if this is your first time listening to our episode or our podcast, I encourage you to subscribe, because every day we're going to drop an episode that every time we drop an episode twice a week, Mondays and Fridays, it's going to be around one, building pipeline, or two, around how we can accelerate deals through the pipeline. Inevitably, today is going to fall on this concept of both, how we can build pipe, but also how you can accelerate deals through the pipe based on these principles of a therapist. I want you to listen with that ear and to see how this can help you in your efforts as you're selling to your prospects. Let's dive in and get an understanding of the therapist concept and then how you can apply it. Zach and Jack, welcome to the show. I love your names because you just make it so easy for me. And if I just slur, you won't know which one I'm talking about, and one of you will answer.
People mix us up all the time. Don't worry. We're used to it.
Well, I'm excited to have you guys on the show. Thank you for being here. I bragged about you guys a little bit in the teaser and this book, and talked about what grabbed my attention to it was this whole idea of the therapist concept, selling like a therapist. But don't you think, as coming from another sales author, is there too many books on sales? Like, what led you guys to focus on this idea of a seller selling like therapists?
There's too many books in general, Donald. Save the trees. That's what I think. There are so many sales books, and there are so many good sales books, and there are so many bad sales books. I think what we wanted to do when we decided that we wanted to put all of these ideas into one place is basically give sellers an alternative, because most salespeople fall into sales straight after university. It might be a gap year job, 21, 22, and then lo and behold, 30 years later, you're still doing it. A lot of sellers feel dirty. They feel like they're still pushing tactics from the 90s. They're trying to live their inner Jordan Belfort life. And what we've decided to do is say, wait, stop. There's another way. And the other way is just by asking bloody good questions.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. One. Jack, Zach, thoughts on that? Where are you at with this book, man?
Well, me and Jack have been sellers before we started our own business. And you're right, Donald, there's lots and lots of sales books out there. But I think most people who've picked one up haven't finished one. There's very few sales books that people have finished. They've kind of worked through them like, what is this kind of weird ego thing that I'm reading here about this guy's made up sales stories? To Jack's point, we wanted to give people the bit where I can pick it up and know why I'm doing something, try things out, have things that actually work, both in sales and maybe in negotiating, getting my 5-year-old to go to bed on time as well. So we wanted to give a whole host of things that would be practical and make you not feel like you need a shower after the end of every day on the sales floor.
Well, I love it. But the therapist concept, I'm that it really was intriguing to me. Why is that such a big premise that salespeople, that's the overall behind this episode. Salespeople need to sell like therapists. Why therapists?
Okay, so if you go to a therapist, right, a therapist never gets a PowerPoint presentation out and tells you why they're such a good therapist. They never run you through their past clients that they've helped with who are also like you. They make the whole conversation about you, and they use a very simple frame, right? What they acknowledge is, if you were my client, Donald, I can't persuade you of anything. I can only make you think. So I take persuasion completely off the table. And what I try to do is get you to access deep thought. If you access deep thought, you will attach an emotion. And when you attach an emotion, you will attach action. So I'm looking for deep thought, emotion, and action. And I'm completely taking persuasion off the table. My only purpose as a therapeutic seller is to try and make you think.
So now, for both of you, I get this idea, and that makes sense. How do I translate that if I'm a seller listening on this podcast? Maybe are there three main things that we could focus on that can help me to become more that therapist in my sales capability?
So there's so many different techniques. There's so many different techniques. And when we think about therapy and we think about maybe like CBT, a lot of these techniques come from way back like when the Stoics were walking around the streets, and the Socratic method and all of these different things. We'll give you like three very practical bits. So like if you're a seller, you're a cold caller, you can take these tips and tricks, and you can kind of, the best thing is, how do you put them into action straight away? And that's what the book's designed to do, is to give you maybe a chapter, so you can read one chapter and take something and learn. So the first one I'll start with is something called softening the blow. So we have a chapter in the book which is all about softening the blow. And what you'll find is there are some questions that land like a sledgehammer. So if you're an SDR and you're BANT qualified, let's say you've got to qualify on BANT. We're not fans of that anyway. We'd never be saying to somebody, do you have budget? But if I'm calling you up, Donald, and my boss is leaning over me and I've got to ask you, do you have the budget? That's quite a slap in the face. That's like saying, what do you mean I don't have that? You think I don't deserve to be in this fancy cocktail bar and buy a pretty dress? Like, who are you to say that? It can feel quite intrusive. So softening the blow is when we seek permission before we ask one of those big questions. So if I was to say, Donald, can I ask you a big question? And you might say, yeah. And say, are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to offend you. I don't want you to lean over the camera and want to slap me in the face. It is quite direct. Am I all right to ask you quite a blunt question?
Go for it. Okay.
Now, the psychology behind this is you're assuming, what is this guy going to say? When I'm asking a direct question or a blunt question or a weird question, you're thinking, is he going to ask me what my bicep routine is? Is he going to ask me what's underneath this hat? And then I'm going to say, when it comes to something like this, a lot of people don't have budget. If you didn't have the budget for this, would you tell me? And you go, yeah, of course. No, we've got the budget. So all of a sudden, you've taken something that might have been a tougher conversation and you made it quite easy to ask the question just by softening the blow. And there are many different ways you can do that. It could be a direct question. It can be a blunt question. It could be a weird question. Lots and lots of different ways of asking that. But I would always say seek permission before you ask those questions.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of pieces towards that makes it helpful. I think the curiosity part pulls me in as the buyer, because I'm ultra curious now. What is it that this person is going to say? And I feel there's a pattern interrupt as well when you do this, because traditionally the traditional seller will be like, go back to the band thing again. What's your budget? It's again harsh and it's very traditional. But this, I'm not expecting it. So pattern interrupt, and I'm very curious now, what in the world is this guy going to ask me? So, well, cool. All right. But if I'm a sell, is there how softening the blow? Is there other ways that I can incorporate that component in my sales game as I am trying to become more effective in selling like a therapist?
Yeah, you always want to be calling out the elephant in the room. So another chapter of the book talks about the levels of listening, right? Mm-hmm. So salespeople
Can you say that again?
Salespeople.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm messing.
Oh,
Listening.
Sorry. You
He
had me.
got you real good.
Wow, he got me then, didn't he? God. I'm going to have to pay him back.
Dang it.
Very good. Very good.
Zach's got a list now. He's going to get me.
So levels of listening, right? So often what salespeople tend to miss is the things that aren't being said, right? So I'll give you an example, Donald. You might deliver the price to me, right? You might tell me the price of something, and I might say nothing, but I might go like this. I might go, and then make a little note, right? And that's it. That's all you've got. Now, salespeople then at that point, maybe they're going to squirm, start discounting, or they're not even going to notice. Like the level of listening is just like, I didn't even pick up on that. I don't understand social cues. I don't know what I've just heard. So softening the blow there was like, would go, ooh, I'm going to have to stop there and ask a really awkward question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go on. Are you sure? I want to get permission. I don't want to offend you. We've been talking for half an hour. Yeah, go on. I just saw you. There was a little tell in your face. You made a little note there. I might be being paranoid. What was happening there?
Oh man, I just don't know. It's a little bit more than what I was thinking. I think we can get it, but I think it's a little bit more than what I was thinking.
Feels like I put you in a tough spot. Blah blah blah. And then we kind of open up. So it's acknowledging the elephant in the room, but using this as a softener rather than jumping. The alternative would be I'd just jump in and go, "What happened there when you took that big deep breath and made a note on your?" It's too combative.
Yeah.
I need to add a bit of theatre to it first.
Why don't sellers do this though? I mean, because initially I think like most sellers. I'm going to speak for myself. Back in my early days when I was selling, I didn't want to mess up something good because I'm like, man, I don't want to tick off Zach. I don't want to tick off, this prospect on this idea. So I'm not even going to bring it up. Like don't mess up the relationship yet. And I feel that maybe it's the immaturity or the maybe it's naivete that made me not want to do it. I know for me, I was just subservient because I'm talking to Mr. VP of sales or marketing here. Who am I to question an executive when I'm runt SDR? Am I making sense on that?
I think the big thing is probably attachment, and there's a lot of attachment that's going on. So like, there was a guy that I went to school with called the Buddha. I don't know if you've heard of him, and he used to say the root of suffering. Attachment is the root of all suffering. Suffering is the attachment of.
You weren't listening.
I wasn't listening to the Buddha. Bloody hell, we should have hung out more.
Attachment is the root of all
Attachment is the root of all suffering. Because we're having a conversation with somebody and we expect something. We think it's going to lead something. The best salespeople are the ones that have the with or without you energy. I'm here. I might be able to help you. It's a 50-50 relationship. If I sell you something, it's also going to change your world. Like it probably won't change my world, but actually it's going to take a pain away. It's going to make your life easier. People typically really, really struggle with the attachment if they don't believe in the product, they don't believe in the company, they don't believe in their leader, they don't believe in themselves. There's lots and lots of work. If you're listening to this and it sounds like you, maybe it is a case of, I need to go and sell something different. I think so many times you could have somebody that is a good seller, but they're stuck selling glue on an industrial estate somewhere. Like, take that same person, put them into a SaaS company that solves lots and lots of different problems. You might see a completely different seller. So like, do you believe in the product? Do you believe in the company? Do you believe in your sales leader? And do you believe in yourself? And that is why sales is therapy, Donald.
Wow. That was
My
smooth.
goodness.
Yeah, because
my goodness, I'm down here taking notes. I'm ready. Let's go. I'll be a therapist by the time we're done. You guys talked about this idea of the test close. Can you go deeper on that piece on how that can help me become a better therapist?
Yeah, sure. So we spotted a theme more so in people trying to sell to us than in our agency. There's kind of this hunger for the meeting. SDRs, you could just tell, I am getting commission for booking a meeting with you. I don't really care too much about you, right? So what we came up with this idea of the test close, which is the close that's on the other person's terms. if I've got an agenda as a seller and my prospect's got an agenda, they'll always prefer their agenda. And if they've built their own agenda, they're much more likely to attend a meeting rather than me kind of forcing my agenda upon them, right? So if I was getting close to a position where I felt like I was going to close the call, there's a few things that I would do before I got there. But once I got to the point where I was going to close, I'd say, well, Donald, if we did sit down, say next week sometime, what would make that a good use of your time? What would you need to see in that 30 minutes? And you'd start to tell me things, right? You'd start to say, well, I'd need to see X, Y, and Z. I'd need to get this person involved in the call. And you start to build the agenda of the perfect meeting for me. And then rather than jumping in and like, oh, I can definitely, all I do at that point, once I've got that agenda from you, is say, well, have you got your diary there now? And that's it. So the test close takes all that kind of Jordan Belfort nonsense away. I'm not like pushing really for a meeting. I'm just saying, if we did sit down, what would make it a good use of your time?
Yeah, love it. And I think that part makes it super easy, and it makes it more confident for me as a seller to be able to do this. You guys work with a bunch of, as a clients over the years and prospects. Have you ever tried this? And can you share an example of how it helped you out?
Yeah, we tried it loads. So if you imagine, a lot of people are selling to CTOs at the moment, right? Because of AI tools, software investment, blah, 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 right? CTO personality type is going to be very analyst. That's why they've been hired in there. They're probably a mixture of kind of risk-averse analyst, but with that kind of like high D, I'm a pretty strong person when it comes to making decisions. So when you force the meeting on someone who's very, very sold to, they will either say yes and never show up just to get off the call. People admit to crimes they haven't done in police interrogation rooms. They will also lie to sellers. And then on the other side, they might just totally hit some reactants and say, actually, now you've pushed it on me a few times, I'm just going to ghost you and not speak to you again. So test close with that personality type works really, really well. And we've had a few different software clients since this has come on who we've gone against their internal SDR function in our business, right? And all we did that was different was just added that bit in. And the booking rate went from, I think they were getting like a 0.5, so maybe like a meeting every other day, whereas with us, more like a one meeting a day situation, just from using that test close and making it all on their terms. And it makes your attendance rate shoot up as well. As I said earlier, if you've built the agenda, your prospects built the agenda, they're much more likely to attend because it's almost like their idea. If I'm not attending my own idea, I'm kind of rejecting myself.
Yeah, love it. Any thoughts you got on this one, Jack?
Yeah, I just think the one thing that we really, really push, and one of the, like, we call them like mantras. So they can be quotes, but they're like little mantras for sellers to live by. And one of the ones I think about is like, not all meetings are created equally. And Donald, you would have sat a cold email, a cold LinkedIn, a referral, an inbound lead, do you know what I mean? A testimonial, they've read it, they've been marketed to for the last 4 years. They're not all the same sort of meeting. And I think that so many sellers these days are just, how do I get it in? Forgetting that if you're selling, the first interaction is like that interaction with the cold call of the seller. If you walk into a restaurant and it stinks of shit, the chances are you're going to think, maybe I'll have dinner here, but maybe actually I'll go somewhere else. And actually, I'm probably not going to come back here because this place smells dirty. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with the cold caller. Like, well, we are looking for a marketing agency, but actually that guy on the phone was a bit of a schmuck. So I'll check him out, but all of a sudden you've got a bad taste in your mouth. Whereas if the first interaction is somebody that is asking thought-provoking questions and is listening to you in the way that a therapist would, well, that's more likely to nudge you down the lazy river into buying something.
Yeah, I can see that, and I like it. This reminds me of one you guys mentioned, the IKEA curve. Can you elaborate on that? I don't know if you got some points on that there, Jack. You want to go on, or Zach? But you guys got my interest with it. Can you go deeper on it?
So IKEA, Swedish Furniture Institute, right?
Amazing Swedish meatballs.
Amazing meatballs as well. Amazing meatballs. Like, exactly. I couldn't agree more. So the psychology of what people like there, right? IKEA have provided the parts, but you've built it. And because you've built it, you feel a bit more ownership and a bit more pride over what you've built, right? And that's a whole like cognitive framework that they've come up with in terms of marketing, building that big empire. Like, it really leans into something fundamentally human about us. We prefer things that are co-created, right? You want to kind of feel like I'm a little bit of an expert as well, yeah. So when, again, I'll go back to an example because I think it's so common at the minute. People have kind of fallen into software sales and they're trying to find their feet. If you're someone who's selling software to an educated buyer and you start trying to become that like fake plastic expert, you'll get caught out. Or you start trying to like, well, what don't you like about what you do at the minute? Well, let me tell you about us. We're an award-winning cloud-based CRM. We're the number one. Like, it just doesn't work. Doesn't work at all anymore, right? People are so educated in what they do. So instead, when you hit the point of, okay, I'm talking to a prospect, they recognize the problem that I fix. We've got to that point. I'm saying pump the brakes at that point and say, hey, if you were sat in my developer's shoes right now and you could build your own platform to solve this, what would it look like? And they're going to start saying, well, I'd need it to be really easy to use. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting you said it really easy to use. But why did that come up? And suddenly they're going to bring up these little features that they'd want the platform to have. But if I treat each feature like a symptom, I get deeper qualification. So I get this really nice link between what the platform needs to look like, but then also how it directly links to solving a problem for them. So, and it just pulls through the whole process. So if I've done that on the cold call, the discovery feels more nuanced and the demo is really nice and tight. The demo could be 10 minutes, me just showing you exactly how to solve that problem using the way that you feel like you've built using that IKEA frame. Jack, anything you'd throw in there, or was that silky smooth?
That was really silky smooth, baby.
Smooth like butter. All right. So and then the point I put down here, this actually prompted something else that I was thinking about for within our sales process, like making sure that we, sometimes it's very easy to go along with what you've always have done. But just like changing it up to giving the prospect that control where they're a part of it. And that's why I think the test close was, prompted this thought for me, but this IKEA concept of them being involved in it. And I think this would work great when it comes to competitors. And one of the pieces that I like to look at with it is I always talk about, I'm not in the business of breaking up good marriages. But if no one is perfect, my company is definitely not perfect. But if there's one thing your current vendor could do different, then so be it. They go into that process. And I think this part of asking it in that way can help, because they'll say, well, they're good. They deliver fast, but they don't deliver on time, whatever. There's always an error. Like, I wouldn't have thought you would have said that. What would your perfect production company be like? Well, this is what it would be. This is what I would do.
Exactly.
But I think that way, then you can come in as that incumbent, and then you have it gives you a better opportunity to have that discussion. So, anyways, just
that was really nice, Donald.
There's like a patience I think you need to be able to develop to have that, because salespeople get happy ears, don't they? So as soon as a prospect says yes, they're like, oh, actually they don't do this. They're like, well, we do it so much better than them.
You see, it's like fishing, right? I don't need. I'm not a seafood person. Believe it or not, I was born in Jamaica, live in South Florida, and I don't like seafood. I know I'm a waste of Floridian. I know
you're missing out.
But there's but if you pull every time you get a nudge on your try to reel it right in right away, you lose. You got to get them to really bite, right, and get them hooked. I did go fishing enough as a kid that I know I don't like it, but I think that's where we miss it oftentimes. And I think it goes back to one of the things I think you mentioned it, Jack, is this, or we have this commission that we're going to get. Maybe it was you, Zach, but I call it the commission bread. I know I want to get this commission, and you gave me something, so I'm going to latch onto that, but it's not ready yet. And the perfect example, and please don't laugh at me, I love to barbecue. But in college, I lived in Idaho. It was cold outside. We didn't take the meat out the fridge. It was the end of the day on a Sunday, and we're like, let's barbecue. And I got the chicken and try to defrost it, but still inside was cold and frozen a little bit. But I'm like, screw it. Let's just turn up the heat high enough and it will just cook. But we all knew what exactly happened. The outside got cooked, and then the meat was still raw inside and frozen. And it's the same concept I find with sellers. And like you said, when they don't have that patience, they try to go too fast. And you look like I got an appointment and I come to you as my boss, Zach. And then you're like, tell me about the deal. And there's absolutely nothing there because it was superficial. And the person just wanted to get me off the phone. All right, you guys have to take us home. There was one last point I think you guys had that you just think about it. If I'm trying to be a therapist, I understand a little bit about the soften and the blow. I get this idea of the test close, and I learned how to use IKEA. Is there anything else that I can leave with to become a better therapist as I'm selling, if I like this concept?
I think there's loads and loads of different techniques in the book. And I think the biggest thing, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, Donald, but like people are scared of like ripping up their process, ripping up their whole structure, what they know. Okay. And the way that we've designed the book is actually, here's some bite-sized things. You can stick to your process. You can sell the way you've always done, but maybe try this new thing. And then once you try that, you say, whoa, wait a minute, that looks gorgeous in my living room. Let me try something new. And then before you've done it, you've redecorated the whole house. It doesn't need to be like a total transformation of, I'm selling this way now. I always think of that story about Tiger Woods, who wanted to be better. And he knew that he actually had to go back to the beginning and he had to be bad to start with. So I think like take something new that you want to try, apply it in like a low stakes environment. So like, go to Starbucks or Tim Hortons or wherever you are in the world. You could have a Costa coffee as well, and say, can I have a nice black Americano? And they go, is that everything? Say, can I ask you a really weird question? And just pause and be quiet and see what they say. And then say, and then deliver anything, but you're practicing the skill. Could you put some caramel syrup in that? Could I have a 10% discount? Could you give me the code to the toilet? Could you put a load of ants in it? Whatever it is, you're asking loads of, but you're applying them in a low stakes environment, and then you go, that works, and I saw that reaction. Now I'm going to try it in sales. That's kind of the way I'd say. Don't know what your original question was, Donald, but here we are.
That was fascinating.
It was the last piece.
Run that.
I went along with everything besides the ants. I'm not sure I want the ants. I take caramel, but it does give this idea though that, can I do more? And I love that low stakes concept because if I asked you for more and I got it, I think this is where, when I coach clients, one of the things that I help them to understand, it's easier to the seller in their mind to sell the lowest deal, right? So we have a package, 3 different packages, $5,000, $850, and then a 10,000, right? Let's say if that's the MER. It's going to be easier for the seller to say, let me sell the 5K one because that's the lowest. But in actuality, you flip the script and you start off with that 10K. It makes it, you might get a couple of the 8 in the middle, but the 10K works. But because you've tried it, or even the upsell to it, somebody agreed to the 5K. It's like, why did you choose that and not the 10K? And I think that would give you the gumption, because you've done in low stakes at Starbucks. It would give you the gumption to ask for the higher stake. I don't know if I'm making sense. So I thought it was great from that perspective. Get out of your own brain.
Yeah. Me and Jack have a game where if we're trying to solve a sales problem, we try and think of the worst idea possible. Right? Because in an AI world, ChatGPT will pluck out what it thinks is the best answer, right? And we're outsourcing our thinking to AI. But me and Jack will be walking the streets between a meeting saying, what's the worst possible way you can think of to solve this problem? And oftentimes a weird thing happens where we come up with something that's really good. Really, really, really good. A direct mail campaign that's parking tickets. And then when you open it up, it's like, and that was like, oh, that's a kind of a bad idea. But then you think it could be a great idea though, actually, when you think about it. Like, people are going to open that, aren't they? Like, if they think it's a parking. So yeah, anyway, it goes along with your point, Donald, of sometimes kind of pushing your thinking outside the box. You might just come up with one little thing that you wouldn't have got otherwise.
And I think that's where coaching comes in, because I see the coach as that therapist that can help me to become a better therapist, right? Because you can ask those questions. And I think you guys have loads of stuff in the book. Listen, I took a whole bunch of your time. This was fantastic. I'm interested in the book. I'm listening to this episode. Where do I go to find it?
So, book is available on Amazon. Just type in Sales is Therapy. It's got currently all 5-star reviews. So if you want to mess that up and give us a 4-star review,
We'll take it.
People will probably trust it more. If it's a 4.7, people will like to buy it. So feel free, bring it on. And then if you want to follow me and Jack, LinkedIn is the best place. Jack Frimson, Zac Thompson.
Jack, thank you guys for coming on the show today. Truly appreciate this. And I'm going to go become a better therapist.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Pleasure. Thanks, Donald. Take care.
Man, I'm telling you, Jack and Zac, they brought the good stuff, man. I like that idea of the IKEA curve. Basically getting the prospect to be more engaged in that process and the test close. Several of these things are, you may have heard about them in different ways, but the principles apply I love how they put their twist on it in a unique way. But try it, test it out. Let me know what you think and how you feel as a therapist. There you go. I'm putting the feelings in there, right? It's really cool. But check out the book. Check out what they're doing all in the show notes and their link to their LinkedIn profile. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. I bring on guests like this because they have concept and ideas that can help you to accelerate through the pipeline, deals through the pipeline. They help you to be able to build pipe more effectively. I want you to be able to close more deals, but most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. See you on the next one.